This is for the love in you. This is for the love.
Peace and light. This is your self-love advocate, J. Pierre Raven, and you are listening and looking at the Love Right Now show. I am super duper excited to have Dr. Angela Jones with Good Centered Counseling here with me today. But I've been knowing Dr. Jones since way back when on the campus of Sam Houston State University. And I'm just in awe of all of your many accomplishments and just seeing how you've just grown and blossomed, and now you're about to get us all together.
I'm trying. I'm working on it.
So we're going to dive into Dr. Jones's story in just a minute, but I always like to start the show off with someone that is self-love slaying in these streets, and it has always been my guest on this series, Healing the Black Woman, and you have a very interesting story about self-care and how you came to know it, which was actually rather recent.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we're going to dive into that, and I love that. And so first and foremost, tell us about your practice and your services, and how did you get into being a therapist?
So Get Centered Counseling is just my private practice. I provide psychotherapy, and I focus a lot on couples therapy, sex therapy, and of course individual therapy for people who have depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and so on. I also am a life coach, so people hire me to follow them around, try to analyze what's going on in their life, what things they need to change. But usually it turns into a counseling session as well. And sometimes I do just different speaking engagements. Right now the practice is just me, and I'm located inside of a practice that has many different practices inside.
Okay.
So we have kind of a group feel as well, but everybody's their own individual entity. So I really enjoy it.
I love that. I love that. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That is amazing. And so I'm interested about the life coaching.
Yeah.
You said that you kind of follow people around. What would you do for me?
So it just really depends on your needs. So if somebody said, I have a hard time balancing my time.
Okay.
Depending on where it is that they're having problems, like at work, at home, or just all day, I would kind of just be their sidekick. Of course, we're talking throughout the day and asking questions. Okay. The first day, I'm not saying really anything at all. I'm just observing, making my notes, trying to see what needs to be improved. Okay. And after that, we kind of have like a consultation, counseling session, and then we try to implement it with me there. Some people only need me for a couple of hours. Some people need me for a couple of days. So it just really depends on that person's individual needs. I've been able to do life coaching on the telephone, Skype, but I think it's more effective if I'm there with you, because I can actually see what's going on mentally, emotionally, physically while you're doing certain things. So it's a little bit different. It's a lot more, it's me shadowing you. So if you're okay with me being with you, I'm okay being there.
Oh my God. This is outside of going to conferences and when you go to workshops and you go hear a life coach speak, I'd never heard of that. And so
every life coach is a little different.
Yeah.
I've seen people only life coach over the phone. I've seen people only life coach inside of their office. Okay. This is the way I'm decided to do it. So life coaching in the United States is not really regulated as far as licensing. So you could kind of make it your own. The thing that is regulated that I do is the counseling and therapy.
Sure.
So
I love that approach though.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that's
fun.
pretty cool.
It really is fun.
Okay. So when did you know you wanted to be a therapist?
I knew I wanted to study mental health in high school.
Okay.
I thought I wanted to be a medical doctor, but I, realized I wanted to be a medical doctor because my mom wanted me to.
Okay.
And I remember taking a psychology course in high school. I think it was my sophomore or junior year. And I just remember hearing different things about depression and anxiety, and I felt like I was hearing stories about my family.
Wow. Okay.
And I was like, oh, so that is actually something. It's not just,
this
being afraid to talk.
Right.
So that made me more interested in it. So that's when I started really focusing more on psychology. When I went to undergrad, that was my major, psychology. And then it really just showed me how big like how much there is in regards to mental health. Like the stuff that we see today, it's still just like the tip of the iceberg, you know, because all you hear is people talk about depression, anxiety, bipolar, but there's just so much more to psychology than I can't even verbalize how much of it. So
it's so vast and just so. But you decided that you wanted to focus on the family
at first.
At first,
Yeah.
Tell me that transition and how you ended up being basically a sex therapist, but you're also an expert in relationship coaching, and so how did you go from family?
So it was family first because I wanted to focus on my people, like people that grew up the way I did, who lived in neighborhoods the way I did, Black, low socioeconomic background. You know, my family, they're I'm first generation American. So
where are you from?
Well, my mom's from Haiti, and my dad is Cuban. So just seeing that cycle as well. When I got into my master's program, I got introduced to so many different types of psychology, like IO psychology. I was like, I didn't even know that was something.
Right.
So I felt pretty lost during my master's program because I was like so interested in so many things that I couldn't focus. But I just knew that, okay, well, I still don't really know what I want to do. I didn't even know if I wanted to get licensed, but I did know I wanted to go all the way. So even during my beginning of my doctoral program, I was still kind of, I don't know. And when I was pregnant, and after my pregnancy, I didn't have postpartum depression. I had the blues, the baby blues. And I just kind of felt lost with a child, a husband who's thriving in his career, a child that needs me, and me kind of feeling stagnant. So I really evaluated myself during that time, and I saw certain patterns in my life that dealt with, it's not actual sex, intimacy, but dealing with who I am as a woman, my body. I only grew up with women, and so I honed in on feminism, I honed in on the sex, I honed in on all that, and that's where I really found myself in that place. So
that's cool. I love that. And so as you are progressing in your education, and then you're like, wait a minute, I'm exploring it all. You know, which is good. Because you really had an authentic process to get to what you really wanted to do. And so, wow. Okay. And so how has it been? You know, do you feel like this was the right choice, or are you thinking you made
Absolutely.
Okay.
I know I made the right choice. And even now I'm still realizing more things that I want to kind of focus on. Like with sex therapy, you know, you're starting to realize, okay, there's so much in that, what you want to deal with and what you don't want to deal with. And so I'm just letting my heart kind of guide me in regards to what I should do next. And it's been, I'm letting my heart and letting God guide me. That's been my two things that I follow. Otherwise, I just wait.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
So who are your clientele? What is your demographic?
Right now, well, I only see people 13 years old and up, so teenagers and adults, no children. I found out early that children is not really my forte.
But you love children.
I do love children.
Beautiful girl.
I do. I either wanted to take them home or I wanted to, you know, so I knew that I wasn't going to be as effective. With teenagers, I had a lot of different struggles with who I was as a teenager, so I feel like I could connect with a lot of teenagers that way.
Okay.
And as an adult, you just see that life is a continuing thing. It doesn't stop. People are just continually growing. I mean, into their 70s, 80s. So.
That's awesome. Okay. I can't wait to talk a little bit more about what you are seeing as it relates to Black women in your practice, and even observing other practices. And then talking about how you came to self-care. So I'm speaking with Dr. Angela Jones. This is JP Raven, and we'll dive right in just a moment. So who do you serve? What's your demographic?
Right now, my demographic is ages 13 and up, so I don't deal with the little ones. The little ones I learned early on that they weren't really my demographic. Now, yes, I can treat them, but
Yeah.
my passion is the teenagers and adults. Primarily right now, my audience, my clientele is, I would say, ranges from 17 years old, 16, till about 50. That's the bulk of my practice right now. So, as a teenager, I dealt with a lot. So I feel like I can connect with teenagers on that level, understanding how exactly their mind is working, the impulses, why they're doing what they're doing. And with the adults, being able to help them understand that you're continuously growing, you're continuously changing who you are. So just because you're 40 doesn't mean that's it. You have to continuously try to work on yourself, even if you're 80. So, so adolescents and to adults.
Okay. I love that. And so catching them relatively early, and I know that there's a lot of, when we're looking at the news and things that are happening in the high schools and, the impact that that's having on our whole country, the world. And so just being able to offer support when you're going through those things in school, that's huge.
The thing is that as parents and adults, we forget the pressure that happens in high school. So as an adult, we are pressured just by the things we see on TV, the stuff we hear on the radio, the pictures we see on Instagram. So just think about it, how as an adult, you're like looking like, ooh, I want to look like her, or I want to dress like that. So imagine if it's in your face 8 hours a day. And they forget that that's the kind of pressure that they're under. So I don't understand why they're doing this and doing that. Well, it's the same reason why you bought that shirt. It's the same kind of peer pressure. It's just a younger mind.
Wow.
So we forget very easily.
How much that does weigh on you that day.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really interested, and I can't wait to talk about what you're seeing as it relates to Black women in therapy, in your practice, and in just what's going on out there in the therapy world, and talking about your personal journey to self-care. And so we're going to dive right into that in just a moment. You are listening to the Love Right Now show, or you are viewing the Love Right Now show, and I'm JP Raven. I'm talking to Dr. Angela Jones. So, who was the first person to teach you how to take care of yourself as a woman?
The first person, I'd rather answer it like the most effective person.
Okay.
Because I can't really think about the first person, but the most effective person to teach me how to self-care was actually my husband.
Okay.
And he didn't teach me outright. He taught me just by me observing him. He taught me that if you need a break, you take it. If you need to go out and be with your friends for a couple of hours, you go. Of course, you respect the person that you're with, you talk to them, you make sure there's no conflicts, but you do what you need to do to take care of yourself. He never really asked for permission to do something. And it's not, I know that sounds weird because we're married, but I feel like we have a relationship where we have that mutual respect, where I'm saying, hey, I'm taking a girls' trip. He's not going to say, well, why didn't you ask for my permission? He understands that, we already respect each other. But he taught me that, because he would go out and I'll be at home and I'll ask him and I'll say, hey, I don't get to do that. Well, you're always doing this. And he's like, well, why aren't you? And I couldn't really say anything because why wasn't I? I felt like some kind of obligation to not do anything, and nobody told me that. So my husband is the one who was the effective person to teach me how to self-care.
And I'm still
learning. I mean, this is something that I learned probably a little bit after my daughter was born, so I would say about five years ago.
Okay. So let's talk about that. I know that we talked about that before. Where it was like the pivotal moment of, I do need to get back to me. And so you're in this space after you gave birth to your beautiful little girl, by the way. And you were in this kind of transitional energy. I was giving myself to everything but myself. This is something I say a lot to my clients, is that, even in a partnership, you're supposed to be sharing your life with each other, not exchanging your life for each other. And the thing is that I was exchanging myself for everything around me. So not only my husband, my child, my family, my job, everybody was getting
a piece of me except myself.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be a shared experience. It's supposed to be something that, hey, you know, I'll be there for you because I'm sharing that space with you. I'm not giving myself to you.
Right.
And it took me a long time to actually realize that, because after I had my daughter Zoe, I had postpartum blues, like baby blues, and I just felt stagnant, like stuck. But there was no reason for me to feel stuck. It was literally my own boundaries, walls that I felt like I had to meet in order to do that, and I was just sick of it.
Yeah.
So I really had to push myself out of this place because nobody else was going to do that for me.
Right.
So, yeah.
So you pushed your way on up out of there. And do you remember your initial moments when you realized, oh, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm good. Everything is good.
So it started when I was like writing my dissertation.
Okay.
So my dissertation, I kept on kind of procrastinating on it because I was like, well, I have to be with the baby, or I have to clean, or I have to do this. And I don't remember if it was my best friend. Somebody was just like, you need to do it now while your child is resilient enough to take that you're gone. So I was like, you know what, you're right. So I scheduled every day to bring my daughter to her grandparents' house, and I'll go to a tea shop and I would write. Now, that's not considered, I guess, self-care, but that's something I had to take care of.
Oh, that's
And
why
I had to go. Otherwise, I would have never finished. And that was kind of like the biggest moment. I was just like, it doesn't hurt to do that. Like, it's okay. She's at her grandparents' house. They love her. I need to do what I have to do.
And you know, I do look at that as self-care because you did what you needed to do for you.
Yeah.
Because it looks so differently. Like it's not, you know, we have these conversations a lot, you know, and it's not just, you know, hair and nails, you know, and it's not just therapy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's let me carve out some time so I can work on something that's really important to me.
And I was struggling with guilt at first. But that was just my own baggage that I had to really break through. So a lot of this self-care, realizing what I needed to do, happened with another life being put into my life, which was my daughter. That's why she's such a blessing, because she helped me see myself just by existing. Yeah. So,
and you'll be that guide for her.
I hope so.
It's great.
She won't
have to wait until she gets married.
Right.
You know,
I want her to do that. Yeah.
You know? But I still think it's a really amazing journey for you, because while you didn't really come to know self-care as an option for you, it's still, you know, you pushed through, you worked hard, you got your dissertation done, and there were moments and even instances where you were practicing self-care, but maybe you just weren't conscious of it.
Right.
So now you can be more deliberate and jump right on in.
Right. You know, my mom taught me how to work.
Yeah.
Like, so I can work. I'm a hard worker.
Yeah.
So that's something that I never have a problem with. Like, if I need to work a 14-hour day, I will work a 14-hour day. So I know that the business part of it, I would be okay. But I knew that the mental part of it, I was sitting there like, this, it shouldn't feel this way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, self-care is something that I recently learned. And as a therapist, you were like, wait, shouldn't you have known that? I hear it, I could preach it, but I wasn't practicing it. And I didn't realize how much of that self-care that I was missing was actually hindering me.
Okay.
So,
yeah. That's a really good point. You know, especially women, you know, I'm finding more and more, it's like there's this shame because generally we're taught to work hard
to serve,
you know, and to serve.
That's what
to
we're
nurture.
taught. That's what we're taught to serve. And we're not taught how to serve ourselves.
Yeah. That's it in a nutshell. And so now we're reconditioning our minds to say working hard is just as important as self-care.
Yeah.
Because actually self-care, you know, isn't this time taker.
Yeah.
it eventually saves us time.
Self-care is as easy as saying, hey, I'm going to go take a nap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't disturb me for about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That's self-care.
Yeah.
Because before, if I was taking a nap, you wake me up, I'll get up.
Yeah. Got it. So self-care is the act plus creating the healthy boundary to protect the act.
Yeah, I can go on and on about boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries is a huge thing, and
Mhm.
self-care is about boundaries, and you have to make sure that people around you respect your boundaries.
Y'all hear that? Make sure.
I can come back and talk about it for another 45 minutes.
We gonna have you back. Make sure, y'all heard Dr. Jones, that you have people in your space
Mhm.
that are gonna protect your boundaries. Just because you have them don't mean everybody
Absolutely.
care about them.
Absolutely.
So when you start seeing that people have a disregard for your boundaries and your self-care,
Then you create a boundary and you put them on the other side of that wall because
yeah.
they don't respect you at that point,
Mhm.
or they don't respect your time.
Yeah.
And at this time in my life, I'm realizing how much of my time is precious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I've had to not remove them like physically, like or tell them like, hey, you can no longer be in my life.
Yeah.
It just usually actually happens naturally once you realize it. Like, oh, this is a person who doesn't respect my boundaries, so therefore I will make sure I enforce my boundaries no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then naturally, it happens. The people that stay around you stay for a reason.
Yeah.
So
Because you no longer allow
yeah.
that to happen.
Mhm.
You're more conscious of it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we are now self-caring.
Yes. Absolutely.
Modeling for your little girl,
Mhm.
and then all of the people that you help, the women that you, when you go and speak, and all of the women that you inspire.
Yeah.
So this is the series, okay, how to healing the Black woman.
Yeah.
Right? And we're talking about different ways, okay, that we can utilize our community resources, our professionals to support us on this journey of healing. And a lot of this healing is reconditioning and even understanding what,
Yes.
what have we been layering and blocking
Absolutely.
all this time.
Mhm.
And the focus of this discussion is talking about, healthcare spaces, as you know, and how in many instances, not all, but in many, and specifically with African American women, healthcare spaces have failed us
Yes.
in a lot of regard. And so you being in these healthcare spaces, have you yourself had any personal experiences, any up-close experiences with what we're seeing with Black women not being heard, or just suffering in silence or unnecessarily?
See, my experience is more on the other side.
Okay.
So I know there's a lot of people who've had experiences as being a patient or being a client, but being somebody who worked in an agency that helped people with mental health and then started working in the administrative side, you start seeing the discrepancies that are, it seems like it's almost impossible to break because they're so interwoven into the layers, the fabric of different companies, medical companies, insurance companies, even the clinics and state departments, everything. So when I was working and I moved up to administration, I was typically the only Black female in the room with a doctorate, and I was always the youngest. It was very rare that was somebody younger than me. And so there was experiences of being assigned certain things that you weren't asked to assign to, and then when you looked at what you're assigned to, it's like, oh, you're part of the urban development community, and it's like, well, everybody else got a choice, but I didn't get a choice. Or if I would say something and I didn't whisper, I'm not really timid, and then they'll just nod their head, and then somebody else says the same thing, and they're just like, oh, that's a fantastic idea, and you're just like, okay, so you start realizing it, but I didn't realize it at first because I was such a rookie in regards to like how long I've been a doctor or how long I've been licensed. And so I just felt like, oh, let me get in my place, let me listen to all these wise people, and they are wise, you learn a lot, but you also have to recognize when you're being pushed over. And when I realized that, I became angry. But luckily, I was able to control my anger and use it in a way that asserted myself in a different way. So, able to say no.
Yeah.
Much easier. It was easy for me to say no, I can't do that.
Okay.
Or it was actually easy for me to say, if they asked me a question that feel horrible that I didn't know the answer, I would just say, actually, I really don't know. And feel confident in saying that.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest things because
it's being able to say you don't know.
Just because,
everybody in the space doesn't know everything.
I actually just don't know. But can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Yeah.
Before I'm like, oh God, I don't know. What am I supposed to do? But you ask me something I really don't know what you're talking about, I would say, no, can you clarify that? Or I really can't answer that for you, but I can get back to you on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized people respect that.
Yeah.
So I feel like the layering of healthcare, the things that I was able to see it starts from the top.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to a hospital and you're seeing that the hospital administration, there's not a lot of females, and there's not a lot of minorities on the board, or the head of the people that are running these facilities. If there's not that much there, you can already know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're seeing a board of all Caucasian males,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to come from their viewpoint, don't you?
Right.
You need to make sure that you are going to places that you feel heard.
Yeah.
So,
And sometimes
do research.
you have to do the research, because you don't really know, because there's so much faith that we put into.
Absolutely. It's
You
the
know,
white coat effect.
Yeah.
You see a doctor, you feel like they automatically know what they're talking
They
about.
know and they care, and they're going to give you the best care.
Absolutely. And no, that's not true.
So even you, as somebody that, is at the table and being pushed aside because you are new, but then being expected to know everything. That's
Exactly.
just,
And the thing is, it's survival. What you have to realize is even your doctor, who really actually probably has a passion to help you, has deadlines and are trying to survive, especially, with the state agency that I was working with. I mean, you have to see a certain amount of people a day, certain amount of minutes. So they're trying to keep their job as well
that's
as
part of the problem.
it is part of the problem. It is. And it's, the state won't give you enough money unless you see this many people. So it becomes not even about us. It becomes about the overhead, the money, the productivity.
So this is like politically rooted. This is
absolutely.
so many different layers.
Yeah.
And then it drums down to affecting the patient, but also fellow, practitioners.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So as a patient, you're sitting in an office and you're just like, I feel rushed.
Yeah.
Like you're rushing me. I'm just trying to ask you a question, and the doctor's sitting there thinking, I only have 15 minutes with you.
Yeah.
Because I have to see 6 people in an hour.
Wow.
And you're just like, wait, I really have some, and so you start feeling that it's you. I mean, some doctors are jerks, so you can see that. But yeah, I saw it every day when I would talk to my clients, or when I would go to their homes and they would talk to me, because I was working with an agency that offered mental health services for free.
Okay.
So I would see it and I would hear it, and
And it's like,
it's frustrating.
if the quality of care isn't there,
Right.
what is it really about?
Absolutely.
Is it really about healing people? Is it really about making people well and whole?
Yeah.
And not that, and I like, it's not that we're saying doctors are bad.
No, not at all.
But this is a systemic issue.
It
This
is.
is a bias issue. This is a very layered issue.
Very
The bottom line is that it's affecting across communities, many people, Black women specifically, and it's causing Black women to die.
And Black women, we are still learning how to navigate this industry. And so when I said earlier I got angry, I personally was able to control it and use it in an effective way. But we get angry. And the only way we really know how to do is like, I don't feel heard, so that means I have to say it louder, do it bigger, because I need to be heard. And then the people on the other side are just looking at us like, problem.
Let's get rid of it.
Rather than hearing what she's saying, they just push you aside and put you in that category. Like, why am I waiting an hour for my doctor's appointment when, but if you say that, they're just like, ma'am, stop being so aggressive. I mean, I saw it every day. It's frustrating. It's so frustrating. There's actually a commercial of, it's showing a woman at like her OBGYN, and she's talking about, she's having pain, and it's showing like what her thoughts are saying and what she's actually asking her doctor. So the doctor's like saying, it's a new commercial. He's like, how are you feeling? She's like, oh, I'm fine. And in her mind is saying, I've been having pain every single night. Like, we're scared to say anything. And
speak up and say what's really going on.
Yeah. So
why do you think that is? Because it's like, that's part of it, and then also some instances when we do speak up, it's being brushed aside. But is it like the shame of not being strong enough?
It's what we're, I know my generation, we were taught, my mother is from the beginning of the civil rights towards the end, that's what they had to protect themselves. So the lessons that they learned, the things that they see, like don't say that, walk on this side of the street, don't ask any questions, have been ingrained in us. And now we're also saying like, no, you need to ask questions, you need to do this. So we're like between a rock and a hard place, where we feel that way. We're really not. Well, no, yeah, we are. We feel like we're in between a rock and a hard place because what we were taught is so different from what we're learning. Right. And we're trying to balance the two.
On top of navigating in a system that necessarily
is in a system that, you also see that you can't really fully trust. So, you're always kind of like looking at with a squinted eye.
Yeah. And that's stressful. To have to worry about that.
Yeah, but I see it with my clients in my office too. Like when they first see me, especially my black female clients, they're just kind of like, "What's your angle?"
Yeah. And I personally felt that.
Yeah,
many
I
times.
get it.
Yeah. Wow. But it's comforting to know that we do have some good practitioners. We do have some good doctors. We do have people that care. That take the time and stuff.
Because I understand that. Like I know what that feels like to be on the other side of the couch. So if you ask me a question, I'm not going to get offended at all. I want them to ask me. Probably the questions are too nervous to ask because I want them to see that there's a different way. Wow. So that's one of my main things right now.
And that's why you are here. Empowering us, teaching us, being a resource for us. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. What advice and support would you have for women who are going through something similar, and also for fellow practitioners, some advice, and then we'll talk about some things that you have coming up. You are listening to the Love Right Now show. I am speaking with Dr. Angela Jones, and we're going to dive into some resources to help us on this journey, healing the Black woman in just a moment. We talked a little bit about this, and it was, that student or that other woman or somebody else may look at you and say, she's got it together. She's self-caring in these streets. She doesn't know my pain, but you actually were not. You were focused on your work, and you were giving everybody else everything you had while you were doing that. And you are now incorporating, a self-care into your lifestyle. So what would you say to that woman, that on-the-go person, self-care is taking too much time, I've got things to do, I've got things to accomplish? What would you say to her?
Schedule. So the first thing I would do, if you feel like I just have so much to do, I don't have time, you need to do exactly what you do with everything else. So if you're a scheduler, that's what I had to do. I had to schedule it. So from 2 to 3, I am going to X, Y, Z. Put it on your calendar, put it on your assistant's calendar so they don't bother you at that time. Start small so you can feel comfortable. 30 minutes of this, 45 minutes of that. Just try something that works with you. Some people are just able to just flow and self-care all the time. But if you're new to it, do it as though it is a business appointment, and it forces you to I blocked off this time, so I have to do something. And also have people around you, even communicate with your best friend, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, so they can kind of help you, support you, hey, what did you do this week for yourself? Or, hey, did you ever go to the gym? Or did you ever go to that massage? Or did you ever, make sure you have people around you that are helping you be accountable for yourself, not only for your business, but also yourself. So that's what I would recommend first.
So put it on your calendar, everything else, and get you a solid accountability partner.
And be realistic with yourself. If you're not a morning person, don't schedule working out in the morning. That's not going to work out. But you don't want to break promises to yourself. So, but you have to be realistic with yourself. I knew I wanted to work out, but I'm not a morning person. So I have to figure out, okay, when can I actually do that? And everyone's like, you need to do it in the morning. Wake up at 5:30. I'm like, I'm not doing that. No, there's no way. I'm not doing it. And I tried it. It lasted 2 days. And I was like, You know, be realistic with yourself. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and be okay with that, and work around what you know. So
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So what advice would you have for fellow practitioners, doctors in wellness settings, in terms of dealing with bias, you know, in a real way, and making time for patients? And I understand that sometimes it's costing your job, and that's a larger issue that just needs to be addressed. But what would you say in general in accomplishing that?
Well, as a Black woman, I think it's important, or as a woman, period, but as a Black woman, I think it's important for you to ask questions. We stay silent too much. The only way I was able to flourish the way I had in my business in the last year is because I said, I'm going to ask everybody a question. And what I mean by everybody, people I don't even know. So if I went to a conference and this lady was speaking and she was great, I want to ask her, how did you get here? Or can I call you? You know, send that email. I don't care if you know her or if she looks mean in her picture or not. All she can do is either not respond or respond. I mean, what do you have to lose? And I was, through my undergrad and my master's program, I didn't ask anything. I felt like I was supposed to know for some weird reason. And for some weird reason, I was supposed to know. But then when I was able to look at other people in this industry from different cultures and different backgrounds, everybody had a mentor. Everybody had something that they can call. Everybody had their team of people behind them. And I was like, I really don't have anybody. Why haven't I talked to my professors or asked them any questions? So ask questions. I just had somebody call me last week, and she was like, look, I don't know you, but I saw your stuff, and I really would like to get to sit down and just talk with you about what you're doing. And she even said, like, my husband told me not to call and not to bother you, but I was like, absolutely, that's the only way you're gonna learn. Because book smarts is one thing, but actually understanding like what to do, how to market yourself, where, you know, who to go to. You have to ask questions. That's it. Like, that's the main thing.
That's good. That's good. So even as practitioners and professionals in these settings, we're all learning.
And you have to accept the fact I don't know everything. Like, I don't know everything. Yes, I got a PhD now. I still don't know everything. You know, ask questions. Like, hey, you know, I see that you are an industrial organizational psychologist. Like, how is that? Like, what do you do? Can I come to one of your seminars and just watch? Like, I've done that a lot. Just watch people, ask them if I could come to something that they're doing. And it just helps me see what I'm missing or what I need to know. And people are more than willing to help you. Like, that's another thing that, like, everybody, Black women, white men, Black, you know, everything. They're more than willing to help you as long as you ask. And like, the worst response I've ever gotten was just a no response via email. That didn't hurt my feelings. They're busy, I guess.
That's all good. No, that's awesome. That's great. Great advice. I really think, you know, it's something that we just overlook. And that whole feeling like you should know everything. It sounds crazy, but it happens. You know. You know, and then sometimes you don't know what you don't know. You know, and so unless you go out there and really try to get exposed.
So women, open your mouth, ask questions. Ask.
That's a good one. That's good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So I'm so happy. That you said yes. So how can we get in touch with you, and when can we see you again? Do you have any projects coming up? And we'll have Dr. Jones's contact information in this description as well. But
so right now you can get in contact with me via my website or like Instagram. So Instagram, it's Get Centered CC. Okay. My website is the same, so www.getcenteredcc.com. I have a professional Facebook page, you know, so you can message me, send me an email. So those are the easiest ways. I have my cell phone number on there so that people can text me too. So I'm really open in regards to communication. Projects that are coming up. Right now, I don't have like a certain project that's mine. I was nominated to be the CEO to watch for a company called,
Yes.
yeah, she's a CEO, so they're having a dinner tomorrow, and I'm really excited about that. So if you guys are like, thank you. So that's tomorrow. Like they have like one of the head women of Chase Bank speaking, and she's an African American woman. So I'm really excited because I'm gonna ask her a lot of questions.
Okay.
If I can,
I was
you know,
just
to the
gonna say, I
time,
know
like,
you want to.
you know.
That's good.
So that's what
awesome.
but right now I'm just building more of my clientele, doing speaking engagements, different things like that. But if there's any updates, you're gonna see it on one of my social media platforms. So
Wonderful. I'm so excited to see just everything that you do, you know, as you grow your practice and as you just continue to empower us through different platforms. So thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you being here. I learned a lot. I know. Go Bearcats. Shout out to the Bearcats all over the world.
Yes.
Sam used to say. But you have been listening to the Love Right Now show, and it has been an honor and pleasure to speak with Dr. Angela Jones, my college classmate, as we continue the series, Healing the Black Woman. I cannot wait to follow you and to just see all the things that you have for us.
Thank you.
In the future. And we will be back really soon on the next episode. So peace and light. Love Right Now show.
This is for the love.